Good evening and welcome back to episode 19 of the Hooked On NRL SuperCoach podcast. I'm your host, Sol, and I'm joined by my co-host, Fish. How are you, Fish?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. Not a great weekend. In fact, a pretty horrible weekend. But yeah, look, it's kind of been the
Jeez.
story of my season. Hey, we've copped how many injuries we copped on the weekend? We lost Tamale, we lost Iro, and we lost Lehigh. So again, just more injuries. Just the story of the season. So we kick on. How many did I score last week? Oh no, we'll get into that later. But yeah, no, not too bad. Not as good as you though, mate. How about you? How are you going?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks, mate. Yeah, I guess those injuries really do suck, and there was quite a few of yous that had, quite a few super coaches out there that had at least one of those guys in Tamale, Iro, or Lehigh, and you just managed to get all three, which is really stiff luck there, mate. Yeah, all three quite long. Oh, not Lehigh as much, but Iro and Tamale long-term injuries, which is unfortunate. I did say on the podcast last week that I wanted to see someone put one on Tamale's chin after his whole debacle with the wires, but obviously I don't. It's never good to see an injury in the game, and I hope him speedy recovery and everything like that. It was just a bit of tongue in cheek because I didn't like all the carry on, but you know, things move, and I think he would have got rookie of the year as we did touch on in that episode. So yeah, it's rough for the Raiders and rough for him. Wishing him all the best.
That's it. So to take us off, as per usual, we'll kick us off with the YouTube comments. It's getting to that point of the season now where people are really starting to fall off. The buys are getting tricky. Players are dropping like flies. Like, as I said, we've lost 3 players myself. So for you guys that keep turning up, keep on liking, subscribing, keep commenting. You guys are the reason we're doing this. The consistency, try to grow it out. So any comment you get, we'll always read it. We'll always reply. We appreciate all your feedback or content. And so, yeah, I know it'll probably die off because it's that tricky part of the season, but blokes like yourself, mate, who are doing really good, hopefully you can give some really good insight and some good advice to some of the listeners and even to me.
No, you as well, mate. We're in this together. Everyone. Supercoach. Whilst it is a game of skill and you can get the trades right, there is like an element of luck in there as well with injuries and who you cop and who you captain, for example. You can have a really rough run. It kind of ruins your season. It seems like sometimes you just can't do anything right, and I hope things start turning around on that sort of front for yourself, mate. And yeah, we'll kick it off with the YouTube comments, as you said.
That's it, mate. Hopefully the lads can, because we're running out of trades. We are running out of trades. So SC Warrior commented, "Hi guys, thoughts on Bateson 87." Shout out to Bateson 87. Hi guys, thoughts on serious thoughts on selling Drinky to C&K this week to avoid his high break even. So this was obviously the week that was before he's turned up against the Storm, and to target the round 16 Warriors versus an understrength Panthers. The cash gen to upgrade a center gun to likely Hopawate. I really hope he didn't do this. Up the wires. Congrats on the 101 subs. So SC Warrior, thanks for that. We appreciate it. Yeah, up the wires. We're cheering them on. They're doing real good this year. Could be coinciding with the start of the potty, mate. Could be. But hopefully, SC Warrior, you didn't end up doing those trades because Drinky obviously turned up on the weekend and Lehigh got 2 and is now missing the next 2 weeks. It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah, hopefully he didn't do those trades, mate. I wasn't a big advocate for the Drinky, so I think he's a season-long hold up until the very last round where he's going to buy. So you probably want to keep one trade up your sleeve just to trade him out for that. But I think it's pretty clear now that Drinky, Pappenhausen, and Teddy are the 3 fullbacks to own. I was saying that probably 2 months ago as well, but it's really taken that forefront. I know Drinky had the big BE, but with these sort of players that play all the bar rounds and they're just absolute guns, and there's no one that's really going to outscore them. You just hold guys like that. It's not that point in the season where we're worried about dropping money or anything like that. Although if you had the trades up your sleeve, I could have got around like a Drinky sell last week, given the matchup. Just one to, let's say Drinky to Herbie if you didn't have him, and then flicking Toya, for example, back to Drinky this week after he's lost some cash. So, in that aspect, like, I don't think it was a bad trade, but I think, for most of us super coaches, I know you and I, the guys that don't have many trades, you just can't afford to do moves like that this far into the season, really.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. Going on to the other last week's episode, Sammy Josephson. So shout out to your best mate, is it? Sammy J?
That's it,
He's
mate.
gone
Yeah.
LeBron or MJ?
Oh, he knows the answer to this. He's just being cheeky. MJ all day. OKC, KFC, UFC, OKC in 6. Yeah, I'm a bit of an NBA fan as well, so yeah, definitely MJ on that. He's just the GOAT. And as for quick touch on the NBA playoffs, we're cheering on OKC hard, and SGA might be the best shot creator that we've ever seen. Honestly, how incredible is that guy? And Halliburton, little touch on him. That guy just a bit overrated in my opinion, but we won't delve too much further than that.
We won't delve, otherwise we'll have to start calling this podcast the Hooked On NBA. But yeah, Sammy, thanks for the comment, mate. We appreciate the support. Moving on, TLT? No, the week that was quickly. How'd you go, mate? A 14-26.
Yeah, it went quite well, mate. Highest rank of the season now in the top 500, which is I'm really happy with, and hoping to go 3 years straight in the top 1K. So this could be it. Want to make some big moves. I know you're going to give me some cheek there and say 2 years ago it wasn't top 1,000, but finished 1,024th, I believe. So I'm calling it top 1K. I think I get the benefit of the doubt on that one. But yeah, happy with the rank and the side otherwise. What could have been, though? Captain Cleary for a 60, and also left Jenkins, who was also the top scorer of the round, 151 on the bench. So, I can't really be too mad. But then again, I did have a bit of a hunch to play him over Hosking for a bit of upside. And, that would have netted me, 90 points exactly. And I would have been top 200-ish about, which would have been massive, and I wish I did that. But, happy for Jenkins' cash flow to be sort of revived. And now I can look to trade him for 600K plus after he sort of tops out, and get someone like a Valentine Holmes or a Lomax for not too much. Other than that, I've already touched on Cleary, captain. I can't be upset with that at all. I was on him all week. I thought he was just going to come out and blitz them, and it's same as the week before where I thought he was just going to come out and blitz the Eels. I do want to touch on Cleary for a little bit as a captain option, though. I've been watching him quite closely, obviously the last 2 weeks more than ever, having him as my captain. He just plays so much at first receiver now, where he's got a block shape and he'll be feeding at the back to Edwards or Talangi, who's running the sweep. And as we know, that doesn't accumulate super coach points, because usually they'll tip it on and then the try will be scored and he'll just get a try contribution. So, just something to monitor with Cleary. I think without Luai and maybe a bit of a change in how they're running things down in Penrith, it makes him a bit less of an appealing option, because he's always at first receiver. So it's always the only way he's getting a try assist really is off a kick, off a short ball, one man out, or if the sweeper just runs straight through. So it's not quite often he's getting those attacking stats. Other than that, quite a few things to touch on. Sharp and Olakuatu. These guys, they went huge, and it was such a good watch. Seeing those two just absolutely tear up. For me, I think their tons they're quite highly owned, but they did have a bit of an impact on why I scored the way I did this week. And yeah, happy to hold those guys. Obviously, both playing this week, and Sharp's at fullback again. Burton, sort of my super pod. He's 4% owned, I believe, in the top 1%, and he had a cracking game on Monday against the Eels. So it was awesome viewing. But thing to note there is that he wasn't goal kicking, which is unfortunate. And now he's named as 18th man for Origin, so he's out this week, which I'm a bit filthy about. But yeah, pretty good week nonetheless. It's the second row was, you can sort of see Kalamatangi. You don't really need to touch two more on him. That guy is phenomenal. We've been big on him. And Ali Katoa finally putting up a 90+ game. Lehigh Hopewadi, big injury. We sort of touched on it before. And then who looks like a potential trade out, but I don't think he's essential to trade out as well. Drinkwater, turning up, touched on that. Very happy with him. Very happy to hold him. And so I'm just missing your screen there, mate. Hosking is the last person I want to touch on, really. 61 with a try. He's just been very mid, sort of since the first week when I got him, when he got 77. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with him, and he's definitely a trade-out candidate, but we'll get to that a bit later on. Other than that, pretty solid week. Can't complain too much, and yeah, hoping for more green arrows.
Yeah, mate. I think just looking at your team, just so many big scores all across the park. Just such a good side and looking good. So yeah, we'll be cheering you on this year, mate, in a 4-6-4. So hopefully instead of just the top 1,000, we'll make you the top 100 this year. Hey, we'll change it up. We'll get you up in the big leagues.
Yeah, that's the hope, mate. I don't know though. I've got fuck all trades basically, and yeah, I have to have a bit of luck from here.
That's it, mate. But luck's in you're in the luck this year, so you never know. My week, yeah, from great to horrible, 12.33, 2.5K red arrows again from 5K. Like it just doesn't get worse. I'll undo my changes to see what happened. Vice captain, it all went downhill after that. So first game of the week, vice captain Lehigh Hopewadi obviously got knocked out, like second play of the game where he almost scored the try there, and is now missing this week. So just not ideal, especially for new owners. I know a lot of people brought him in last week, and if you did, you'd be pretty filthy because he now misses out on this pivotal week in round, and then next week also out with the Manly bye. So not great for that there. Just while the screen is loading up again, it just really wasn't great. Captain Hines, I decided to just pot up and Captain Hines because Lehigh was horrible, and yeah, Hines was not much better. The Sharks just were bad, but I had to say I was really impressed with the Warriors. The Warriors, I thought that was the first game with all their outs in the team, and they really stood up. What did you think about them, mate? How'd they play?
Yeah, well, I unfortunately didn't watch my own team play on the weekend. I did watch the highlights though, and yeah, I was a bit stunned to see the scoreline. Far out, we just keep doing it. It's really awesome to see. Luke Metcalf might be the second coming of JT at this point. He's phenomenal, and Aaron Clark as well, probably up there. Well, not probably, he is up there for signing of the year, and probably could be a shout for lock of the year when Dally M comes around. Honestly, he's been a revelation for us, and yeah, it was a really good outing. Putting 40 points on the Sharks is no easy feat. So hopefully the Warriors can keep the momentum up.
That's it, mate. Just growing from strength to strength. And yeah, they just, even with all the outs, all these young guns came in, they all really stood up. I think the bloke maybe I was most impressed with, and we'll see if he gets a spot moving forward, was the hooker. He played really good. I think he scored about 63 points as well in SuperCoach. His basement price just looks like a goer.
Yeah, Sam Healy. He's been highly touted. He's quite a big rangy dude as well, quite a big hooker. He's really good. I think my play of the game, watching the highlights, was Harris Tavita. I think that was the best game I've seen him play all year by the looks. We all know that he's such a strong defensive six, and he seemed to have a bit of an attacking game on the weekend, which is really good to see. And him and Metcalf just combining really well at the moment. And no Wade Egan, no Barnett, and we're still putting out these scores. So it's really good to see. And it's actually the Wires form has played a role in why Cape was selected for Queensland, much to many Queenslanders, I guess, disliking. I've heard quite a bit of people say that he's a bit too old for it, etc. But he's a veteran. He's played in that arena before, and he's playing well for us. So, I can't you can't knock it too much, especially with the lack of Queensland second row depth at the seams. Bit rough on Bo Fermor, but I think Bo Fermor is a better player than Capewell, but Billy's just going in a different direction.
I agree there, mate. Pretty much with all of it, especially with the part being a bit rough on Fermor. I think he didn't really get a chance, but Billy's saying it's what's best for the team. Maybe he didn't just bond as well, or they just didn't get along, or whatever it was. But yeah, Capewell, you can't knock it. He's been playing in the centers, in the second row, wherever they play him, the Warriors. He's been really good. So I think he's deserved that jersey. And yeah,
He is, but he has. But in a bit of an interesting stat, he's missed the most tackles in the NRL. I think he's missed like 75 tackles, and next most is 46, I believe, off the top of my head. So yeah, that was interesting. So I can, and that front, if we look at missed tackles, I haven't really noticed him missing tackles. He does fly up at the line a bit, and he has been playing centre, which is the toughest position on the field to defend in. So, yeah, I might keep an eye on that in Origin, see how he goes, and also in future games just to see how these missed tackles are being created. Because yeah, a bit of an interesting one there.
That's it, mate. Good little fun fact there. Back to SC, back to my team. Yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. Not much is really happening for me. Brayley just doesn't kick on. AFB and Taps have been awful. Hosking just plods along. In the good news, Naff White is back this week. That is a little bit of a saving grace. I've held him since round 1 and throughout all these injuries. So good to have him back on deck this week. And LKT keeps kicking on. I think his break even 0 this week and just looks to get better and better every week. And he could have very well had a try that game and probably a 70-80 score again. So yeah, little bits of glimmer in the team, but not much going on there. Obviously, Herbie, tons up. That's the only one I did want to talk about. How many episodes in our 18 episodes we've done, I reckon in 16 of them, you've probably said Herbie can't ton. And so he's tunned.
But
so he's tunned.
Just Herbie hasn't tunned. Yeah, but it's good to see him just scrape over with a ton. He's keeping this try scoring streak alive. Obviously, he got 2 tries on the weekend to put that up. But yeah, it's not really hurting. It is painful to watch, seeing him score every game. Same as Ero was doing my head in. I'm just not a big fan of centres that don't goal kick in my SuperCoach side, and especially at Herbie's ownership now. Yeah, he was someone I wanted to antipod and look to go elsewhere with like a Lomax and a Val Holmes. Because I just can't. Yeah, like he's been scoring every game. How much longer can he keep it up for? But yeah, props to you, mate, and props to anyone that has Herbie. Can't fault it. He's been unreal this year, and yeah, he obviously plays this bye round, and the Dolphins are looking good. So yeah, hasn't hurt me too much. Obviously, being in the top 500 without him, but yeah, he is someone that is a good get for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just reloading again. I was going to say something. What was I going to say with Herbie? Oh, yes, Herbie. His try-scoring run, I believe it will not be finishing anytime soon. He's coming up against a pretty weak Cowboys side. And according to the stats, it's his side. The side is running up against this week. Who is it again? It is. We'll get into it in the teams list.
But it's usually Violea, but he's out. It's Braden Burns actually, so that he'll be running up
Burns
against.
And really good.
Rob Darby and Clifford's back in on the right. I believe. Oh, Purdue. It'll be either Purdue or Clifford on the right there, and then Kai O'Donnell. So yeah, very weak edge there. Yeah, and he's someone I'm definitely looking at. He's actually my current trade plans as we speak. Much to my This May, but I don't think I can do it watching him play the Cows and then, yeah, as you spoke about the good run with the Knights and I think it's the Bunnies, the next three. I
Yeah.
just, yeah, at his ownership, I can't afford to forego him. So he's going to have to come in, I think.
That's it, mate. That leads us nicely into TLT for the week. As per usual now, guys, we're just going to be running through sort of any changes or our comments really on the game, and then we'll give our tip. There's no real need at this point of the season to analyze sort of every player and go through all the changes. So
Yeah.
for the first game of the week this week, mate, Sharks versus Dragons. Anything you want to talk about or interested in here?
Yeah, we'll try to keep it short and sweet because we've already sort of gone over time a little bit. But I think Hiroti, Ramian, and Nakora are all really good pickups at their price. If you can move things around, I really like them as buys this week on the Sharks end. And for the Dragons, I'm not a big fan of Lawson at all. I'm going to say that he's very high up there in the ownership. I think he will play. Be interesting if he plays left wing, is a bit more appealing, but with Tui Peloto out, if he's on the right, I do not like it at all. And you're banking on him scoring a try, and he could so easily just drop out for you and then also be an AE nightmare. So I'm really not big on him. Other than that, Couchman's, I guess, the only other sort of interesting buy this week. Similar to Nakora, Rami, and Harodi. Very good price, bottom them out, and, covers the next major buy round. But it is important to note that the Dragons do miss next week. That's all for me here, mate. I'm tipping the Sharks to win big time in this one. Sharks by 16.
Hopefully they do, mate. Hopefully they get back to their best this week, the Sharkies. But yeah, I just think with Lawson, I agree with you. I don't think we kind of saw on the weekend he got flattened all game. Like he just got every kick he was targeted and every kick he got whacked. So there's not much of him. But to his credit, he rocked up and he took the next hit up pretty much every time. So I think he is going to play on the left edge with Sloan back on his right edge. So on the left edge, I think he is a viable option. It obviously isn't the perfect downgrade or the perfect cheapie, but it is an option. And on that left edge, that's where you want to be positioned, especially for the Dragons. But yeah, apart from that, hopefully AFB can. I don't know what's been going on with AFB. What do you reckon? Like
Yeah,
he
well,
had been doing well.
my main concern at the start was the minutes, and then I had a look at his minutes over the week, and he played like 63. So to him get under 1 ppm or point per minute is very unlike him. So, we did see him in a sling a couple of weeks ago and carrying a niggle. I honestly do think he's in for a big game this game. I think the Sharks need to turn up and they're gonna put the sword to them. And I think Fanor Blake will play big minutes and possibly even score a try against this team. So I don't know, mate. Him and Tarpany for yourself, like they've just been like punching out 50s, which is not ideal for the price you pay, but they are two of the best front rowers in the game. But I've sort of stayed away from these sort of blokes because I don't want them like front rowers being my reserves. I just want to take a chance on, I guess, bigger upside players that can ton up. But for Noel Blake, surely he's due a bounce back, right?
Oh, I bloody hope so, mate. I hope so. Yeah, in this game, I have the Sharks as well. I'll have the Sharks by 14 in this one. Moving on to our Friday night game. Should be a good Friday night game, this, and good for the Seagulls, that is. Bad night to be a Titans fan. Sorry, Benny Woodrow. Anything you want to talk about here, mate?
Yeah, I wouldn't be touching any Titans the way they're going. The only one that does it, like obviously we have Tino. What do you think about a Tino sell? Like I don't, I've seen quite a few people do it. I think you can do it once again, same as what we said at the start of the podcast with Drengalder. If you have the trades, I can see merit in it. But Tino for me, he's a final 18 player. Um, and I think you'll want him for the run home. He's just too important to the side. Yeah. Well, any thoughts there, mate, on Tino?
Yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't be selling really unless you had to. But I would, in saying that, I would prefer selling him over, say, like a Haas. I think a Haas is just more damaging. And I think NRL Physio came out and said he's carrying an injury into the Maroons camp. And obviously the Titans need him, and he always plays big minutes. But it might catch up with him at some point. So just be
Yeah.
wary about that.
He's also coming off a season where he did his ACL as well and was out all last year. So, like, I don't mind the sell, only if you have trades, though, and only if you've got no one else that you can really say, look at them and go. So, for example, if you had Hosking, I would just find the way to sell Hosking over Tino. But if you're pretty stacked at second row and you like have a pretty good front row and you can't make who you want to get in work unless you trade Tino, then go for gold, I reckon. But it's not one that I'm sort of considering. Other than that, mate, for the Titans, obviously you're still getting teamless up. The only other one that is of a bit of interest is two of them is Jaden Campbell and Brimson. Like I think they're fine buys, but just the way especially Jaden Campbell and Brimson are good buys. Jaden Campbell more so because of the position he's in, and also with the goal kicking. But I don't think they're I'm not going to be hanging on to my chair, scared to watch these blokes just because the Titans are the Titans and they haven't been playing good footy. So I don't mind either of those blokes. That's all. That's all from me on their side. Anything more from you on the Titans?
No, I agree with you. The only one I'd even be half interested in is JC, and I think his 27 from last week is going to hang around for another week. So he scored a ton before that score. So once that score drops out this week, he'll have a really high break even again. And I think you'll find JC being sub 600k. Not to say he can't score or hit that break even, but yeah, I just have a feeling that the Seagulls, with the strength of their side, with the Origin snubbings in Turbo and DCE, I think they're going to be out to prove a point.
That's it, mate. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. With sort of Jaden Campbell, the position he's in as well, a bit of a dud position in 5'8". I think you want to, for guys like us, we've talked about it with the trades, where you want to try and minimize trades in those sort of positions at the moment. And we just got to hope that for both of our sakes, with our backup 5'8s, you got King Tonga and I got Burden both on the bye next week, that Munster backs up, but I do think that's unlikely. So it'll be interesting and one to have a look at next week. Both Emeralds are the one that's I think's a decent buy too. Now that he's been snubbed for Origin, decent price. I don't mind him too. We'll move on to Manly. Bit more to talk about here. Cherry Evans, I absolutely love it as a buy. If you have the trades, I'm going to keep saying this. It depends on your team makeup. I think a lot of people looking to shift out Cleary, very viable move there. If you don't have Hughes though, and you've got the Cleary Hines combo like both of us do, I think waiting for Hughes next week is the play. That's the play I would be looking at. And Cherry Evans this week would be just in behind that. Got to remember, Eagles have a bye next week as well, so you're getting 1-for-1, just one game out of him over the next fortnight. Garrick, so highly owned, and same as Olakuatu. I have both of these guys. I love the Olakuatu buy against the Titans. If you still don't have him, he's got a 8 break even or something stupid, so he's going to be close to 700k soon, and he looks back to his best, especially with Cherry Evans back. He's running the ball strong. Turbo, I wouldn't be bringing him in by next week, but if you've held this long, definitely play him. I know you have, and well, don't definitely play him. You have to play him, and definitely, definitely consider an armband on him. I think in this matchup. I think that's all from me on the Seagulls front, though, mates.
Yeah, I think you've done well there. I agree. I would go Hughes before Daly, but if you've got unlimited trades or you've got heaps of trades, I like it as a trade this week. Yeah, Olakuatu with DC in this week as well, I think is a good shout. He should be seeing some good ball from DC, and that just right edge, that Olakuatu, Garrick and Sab, I think they're going to go to town. So hopefully Turbo is involved in that, and at this point in time is currently my captain. So winding it back to round 12 because why not? Just why not? In this game, I have the Seagulls putting a decent score on the Titans here. I reckon Seagulls by 20.
I'm going to say Seagulls by 24. I'm going to go them to punt them. Yeah.
That's it, mate. Moving on to our first of 2 games of Saturday, we got the Knights versus the Roosters. What are your thoughts here?
Big shout out to my boy Fletcher Sharp. This guy, he's just such a good player. Awesome to watch. Just seems he's got such a nose for the ball, and his support play is unreal. So, yeah, I also tipped these guys last week against Manly. They were 16-0 down, and it was I was like writing them off, and then they came back, and it was pretty much just a Sharp show from there on. He played so well. Same as Gagai as well. Um, I think if you didn't have Sharp, I would still consider getting him at fullback this week and then potentially next week, obviously with Origin over in Perth. He's just a phenomenal player. And yeah, I really can't knock the buy still. I do think he comes into a tougher draw though. And he is someone that you could consider selling at his ownership at a later point of the year, potentially before or around about the next major buy when they don't play. But in this stint, he's been unreal, and I think he can continue it at fullback. Marju is someone that you like can consider as well. He's another good buy in my opinion. And then obviously Dylan Lucas, always a good buy. He falls into that sort of category where he's a season-long keeper. Um, that's pretty much all from me, mate. I don't like Fletcher Hunt even at the price tag this year, and I don't like Lawson. So for from the Dragons, I wouldn't be looking at any of those guys really, to be honest.
Yeah, like I'm in a bit of a predicament this week where I have the opportunity to get Sharp. He's someone I am looking at, but yeah, as you mentioned, very hard end to the year and that round 18 bye. So I think someone, unfortunately, like someone who doesn't own, it's just too late and just go elsewhere now. The points have already been scored. You can't get those points back. Just make them up elsewhere. And someone like a Lomax, who is very comparable, I think, to Sharp. But yeah, apart from the Knights, KPP, I really do still like. As a pod, he's about 600k. I think he's scored back-to-back 90s now or something. His consistency is there. I think he might play better now. He's been confirmed to come to the Tigers next year, so he's now doesn't have to worry about that. So he played really well last week, and then he told the boys. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But he's someone I like as a pod option, as opposed to a Fermor. I would much prefer going KPP, I think. But apart from that, for the Knights, yeah, that's all I have to discuss there, mate.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I do disagree. Like, I think I'd go Fermo over KPP, although KPP has been good. And yeah, I just don't think you can have too many of these Knights guys, to be honest, let alone the two edge second rowers, just the way they've been up and down, mainly down throughout the season. For the Roosters, however, a bit more to talk about here. Sam Walker back is huge, and Sandon Smith on the bench is a bit of a cuck for pretty much 99% of super coaches who have him. I still think he will play big minutes. I'm saying like 60 minutes off the bench, and that guy Benaya, or he not even going to try that. Benaya at hooker is gonna play maybe the first 20, which is what he did in his debut game. So maybe that sticks, and Sandon can play 60. I guess we can only hope, right? Other than that, Tedesco for me, if you don't have him, he's the buy of the round. He's easily the person that you'd be most scared of not going into this round, coming off a bye. I just think there's no, you've got a season-long keeper, and he just looks phenomenal when he's playing the Knights this week. I don't really see much going wrong if you buy him, and he's easily a armband option for this week. Other than that, I like Tupou as a bit of a pod buy, and then Egan Butcher as well. I don't mind starting on the edge as a bit of a cheapy buy who's got good coverage. That's about it for me though, mate.
Yeah, I can't argue with the Tedesco stuff, especially someone who's not going to be owning this week. Someone who's I'll probably be getting next week for Turbo, but yeah, he is the person that can do the most damage this week, and certainly someone who is scared. It's hard not owning them, especially for Tedesco, one of the players who I've always loved. And I remember even at the start of the season this year when we were doing our fullback rankings, I still put Tedesco second or third, I think it was, and you couldn't believe it was that high. He is just so good every year. He just gets better with age. So yeah, couldn't speak about him higher, but I won't be getting him till at least next week. I like Markey as a pod option about that 680K price tag. Markey or Sharp, those are two I'm kind of comparing, and I think in those two I would go Markey. Who would you go?
Oh, I would like to back the Roosters in. Market Centre does offload the ball more, but he's less likely to score a try. I do like the matchup against Fletcher Hunt though. Although Fletcher Hunt is pretty good in the air, so maybe to keep it simple, I think I would take Sharp still. Like if you're going this week only, Sharp. If you're going season long, then I'd probably have a look at potting up and just going Mark for the year. But I think Sharp outscores Mark this week.
Yeah, I do think I like the Mark buy for the year. So someone I'm eyeing up this week, but Sam Walker obviously returns. Someone you can't jump on just yet. It'll be good to see how he returns, but obviously, yeah, they've gone with Savala and Walker, with Sandin probably leaving the club next year. So even though he might get good minutes this week, he's someone you're going to have to sell because the minutes will become less and less as the weeks sort of move on and the Roosters sort of move forward with their plans. But that wraps it up for me for this game. I think this game will be interesting. I think we saw the Knights really show up last time with Sharp at fullback against the Panthers, but the Roosters are without a lot of their Origin players as well, and the Knights are at home. I'm going to tip the Knights by 4 in this.
Fair enough, mate. I don't think, yeah, I can't. I tipped the Knights last week, and I'm not doing it again. I'm tipping the Roosters by comfortably. I'm going to say by 14 in this one. One last shout, I guess, is Dom Young. I think he's going to go absolutely nuts this week up against the Marju edge and Fletcher Hunt edge scoring. I don't know. Like if he had a nailed down spot, I would 100% be going him. I think this week. I just think he's gonna turn up for sure against this club that allegedly wants him back. Um, Running at Marju and Fletcher Hunt, Roosters pump them. I really like it. Sam Walker back. I mean, yeah, he's definitely someone to have a look at in draft, but probably not overall just because no job security.
And sounds like maybe Sportsbet as well, a bit of an anytime try scorer this weekend. It sounds like you're big on.
Yeah, I think he scores easily this week, and I think he turns up for sure. I I would love to bring him in if I just knew, like, say Mark got injured, which if you brought him in, it might be
Yeah,
what
probably
happens, mate.
happened. Yeah, serious.
You know, then Dom, yeah, it's just it's not a long-term play, but I love it for this week for sure.
Like the cause there, mate. Moving on to our second game of Saturday, we got the Cows versus the Finns. Bit going on from the Cows from a team's perspective, but not really from a Supercoach perspective, mate. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I couldn't touch any. Like, who are these blokes? Seriously,
Serious,
yeah.
though.
That looks like a really weak side, to be honest. And as a non-Herbie owner, I'm a bit worried, especially the way the Dolphins are going. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't look at buying any Cowboys players. I don't think they've got much Supercoach relevance outside of Drinkwater, so I'm happy to move on from there, mate. I don't think anyone's really a good buy in the Cowboys side apart from Drinkwater if you don't own, and he's someone that you could easily captain as well. But I just think the Dolphins put a score on him.
Yeah, couldn't agree more there, mate. And I think if you don't own Drinky, it's a good time to buy him. I think his B is like 70 this week because of that 14 when I captained him a couple of weeks ago is just about to drop out. So, or has dropped out now. So,
Yeah.
good time to buy if you don't own. But yeah, no one else from the Cowboys I'm interested in. For the Dolphins, a little bit more interest from my end and your end, mate. Talk us through Osako.
Yeah, Sarko, a couple of weeks ago, I was between Asako, Ronaldo, Alamotti, and Sarko, Ronaldo,
Not
El
Tracy for you.
nah, Elamotti, and I'm trying to remember who the other person was off the top of my head.
Lehigh.
Oh, Lehigh. It was those four, and I was bringing in two of them. So I obviously got Lehigh, and I got Elamotti as well. Who Lehigh's now injured, and Elamotti's was dropped after that one game. So yeah, couldn't write about. I would have love to have he got Osaka that week, and I believe I actually ranked him last out of the 4. And then obviously Ronaldo got suspended as well. So Osaka turns out to be the guy, and he was the one I was least keen on. In saying that though, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise because I held Jenkins and traded out Alamotti instead. So I've held Jenkins, who's made cash and will continue making cash, which is, I guess, not the worst outcome from it all. But yeah, burn a trade there. Osako I really like as a buy. I think he's one of the top buys this week. I know, yeah, the Dolphins are just firing. This Cowboys team looks weak. His goal kicking, he's going to be a very scary watch. He can be someone that's a season keeper as well and can go on a run. So really like him. Herbie, obviously, we talk about him every week. He's a good buy every week. That's almost it from the Dolphins. Isaiah Katoa would be the last one. I would rank him third. If I'm talking halfbacks, I would go wait for Hughes. If you don't have him, then I would go Cherry Evans. Then I would go Katoa. I would even be tempted to go Sam Walker over Katoa, honestly. But yeah, I just prefer those options. But I don't. You can't knock it. I just don't think he has the ceiling. He's hasn't tonned in his whole NRL career yet. But who knows? This week could be the week against this outfit. That's all for me, mate.
That's it, mate. Yeah, Osako is someone I'm interested in a little bit as well. Just doubling up with the Finns. Obviously, they've got a really good draw coming up. They've got pretty good bye schedule, although they don't cover the next big major bye round. The only issue with him is there's games where he just doesn't get involved and he'll score you like 20, 30 points, and that can happen in a string of games. So at the moment, he's hot. He's got what he scored on the weekend, 120, 130, and 80 the week before. Yeah. So, yeah, he's off some really good scores, and if you get him in, he's going to make some cash. But I just don't think he is a season keeper, and like someone like Herbie just is a season keeper. So I know if I was shopping between the two, I think it is clear to me that like I would just definitely lock in Herbie just for that consistency. You know he's going to be consistent throughout the end of the season, but if you want to take a bit more risk and you save 100K, I think it probably is maybe a bit more. I don't mind the Osako shout.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, love the Osako shout. Yeah, I think he's a good buy even now. Negative break even. Worst case, he gets up to 700 and something K, and you can flip him straight to a Lomax or a Herbie or whoever. Yeah, good matchups. Can't really knock the buy this week.
That's it, mate. In this game, that really wraps it up, the analysis for the Finns. This game, there's really no world where I see the Cowboys being competitive. I think with the way the Dolphins are playing, coming off back-to-back 40-plus scores, I think they match it again and they put 40 on the Cows. So don't know how many the Cows will score. I think Drinkwater will still score all right, but I think the Dolphins put 40 on the Cows.
40? Far out. I'm going to say Dolphins by 20.
Like it, mate. Moving on to, is this the final game of the week?
Yeah, last game of the week.
Yeah, the Bunnies and the Dogs, mate. What do you want to talk about here?
Nothing really from the Bunnies side. Koloamatangi, we're talking about him every week. Would still buy him this week, even at 750K. Well, a good friend, Matt, still doesn't have him, and yeah, I just think you got to fork up at this point. It's a bit, yeah, like he's got a 30 break even as well, so he's could even touch 800K. He's ridiculous. Covers this week, covers next week. Good captaincy option as well. And the only other one I've held Hubner, so keen to see how he goes again. He's got back-to-back 60s, and he's actually making some decent coin now. So yeah, I've got a feeling though he gets like 40 this week. They've got a 4-forward bench, so that's something to look out for as well. Yeah, I wouldn't really be looking at too many other Bunnies buys. Ewan Aiken's someone that people jumped on a couple of weeks ago, but just think he's been a bit average, and I wouldn't look at buying him. Yeah, anything from you for the Bunnies?
Yeah, the only other one I would disagree with Aiken. I think he hasn't done anything and he's scored 60, which is what his base is going to be in games where he really doesn't do much. But he's obviously had a tough draw, and I think it's they've got a couple more hard games coming up, the Bunnies, but when the draw opens up, you'll be seeing, if he gets a try or whatever, we'll be seeing those 60 scores turn into tons. And so that's when I think he'll become valuable. And we know Aiken has the attacking stats in him. So he's someone I really don't mind as a bit of an option there with the duel as well. But yeah, apart from that, for the Bunnies, that's really all of interest for me there, mate.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. I don't mind it. I just think for that sort of price range, you can, like the guy we just spoke about, I would rather spend 50k more and get a Sarko in, especially with the matchup. But yeah, we'll move on to the dogs. Um, Peraz, I guess, is a big talking point here. He's just been called up to the Origin Blues squad as well, which is huge for him, and it could spell, maybe he's cut from the team this week. Playing at centre this week as well, we know he's a gun basically, but playing at centre is a bit less appeal. He's coming up against Jack Wyden, who's captaining this week. He's got doubts over his head playing Origin as well. I don't think he does play Origin, but yeah, he's a great buy. I can't knock it. You want him sooner. You want him at some point, but he does miss next week, and it's a weaker Dogs outfit. I also think you can just wait and see how the injury goes. Let it all play out, and then jump on him a bit later. I think I'm leaning towards preferring Herbie at this point right now. Like, I'd rather Karaz for the season, but I think Herbie's a better buy for this short stint of games. Other than that, the only other big buy for the Dogs really is Preston. I think he at 720k is a good consideration at second row. He's back. He's ready to go. I don't know if he's running off Galvin or Sexton. I would assume Sexton keeps the right edge and Galvin plays left. But, if they're looking long term, Galvin will be on the right with Burden on the left, it seems. That's how they came on last week. But yeah, I like Preston, but he is very expensive. And I think if you're looking at that price, you would rather go a Kraz or a Herbie or one of these guys, to be honest. That's pretty much it for me, mate, on the Dogs. Not really much else of interest there. Galvin's a good draft pickup if he's been dropped to the waivers.
Yeah, like it all there, mate. I agree with you all there. The only other thing I want to say is, yeah, I just love Karaz. So the pod play is to get him in now while he's not 100% owned, because in 1 or 2 weeks' time, he will end up being over 80% owned or whatever it is. He is just a gun, and the sooner you get him in, the sooner you lock him in to your side. So there's no real bad time to buy him. I just think, yeah, the buy next week does hurt. So definitely look at your numbers with how you're looking for next week. But yeah, apart from that, for the Doggies, mate, that wraps it up for me. And in this game, I have... Oh, geez. The Dogs just keep getting it done, don't they? So we'll say the Dogs by 4.
I'm actually on the Bunnies in this, mate. I've tipped them 2 weeks in a row. And this is going to be the third week I'm backing them in. They need a win. I think they'll win this game.
Like it, mate. Like it. That wraps up our TLT for the week of round 16. No, round 15. Obviously, limited games and teams this week because of Origin coming up. So we'll get into our trades and skippers for the week. So we'll just quickly optimize my team. Before trades, I'm looking at, I think there's 12 players or 13 players or something, but that includes a few of the dodgy players like your Smiths. So you got Sandon and Billy. Then we're also counting Tukey Simpkins and LKT. So it's a bit of a dodgy 15. So I'm more than happy to do some trades this week. So I think my reserves are my trade outs this week. So we'll be trading Iro and Tamale for sure. And we'll definitely be grabbing Kuraz and then Lawson. So
I thought you didn't like Lawson, mate.
I don't like him, but on the left edge and for the team, I'm grabbing Lawson. So that's my 2 trades there. So now it's kind of, I have a third trade there if I want to use it, which I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet with Lehigh. I don't want to hold him. I'm either going to hold him to sell him next week, and that's either going to be up to like someone like a Lomax or down to someone like a Karapani, depending on if he's named, because I still need to grab Turbo next week. So I could use the funds to get Turbo this week and sell Lehigh and then sell Turbo to Teddy, but I just don't think it's worth it. So the other options I've been eyeing up is selling Lehigh to either Asako or to Fletcher Sharp. So those are sort of the options I've been tinkering with this week. If I was to get Fletcher Sharp, I'd need to somehow free up a bit more money next week for Tedesco, but it would leave the team like this. It's just, yeah, it really feels like I've missed the boat with Sharp, but I do agree playing fullback this week and next week is very tempting, but everyone's going to sell him in round 18. So, yeah, I'm keen on Asako, I think.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, I think both Sharp and Asako are good buys, and yeah, Karaz is a good buy as we touched on. I just don't like Lawson at all. That's just me. I think I would look away to rejig it, go Asako, and then go Lawson up to Ramian. I'd much prefer that or Hiroti. Just spend the extra money. Lawson's just going to be an AE nightmare for you and serve no good on your side. I don't like it. Don't like him. The buy. The Dragons going to get pumped as well. Who just drop out? You're just burning a trade. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's just more so for the freeing up cash because it frees up heaps of funds.
But even if you went up to Raymond, you still got 150 in the bank. You make it work.
How Turbo to Teddy's 400k, just under.
It's 300. You could go clear rid of Hughes, Turbo to Teddy, maybe next week.
Could I up? Also got to get rid of Sand, and then I need Eli Katoa. So I'm keen on Karaz, and that's about all I know for sure this week. So I like Asako, I like Sharp, and yeah, not we'll figure out trades. You'll see it next week, but not quite sure which way I'll go down. But for the potty's sake, we'll say I'm going to go Sharp. So we'll say I'm going to go Karaz, Sharp, and Lawson, leaving us 220k for next week to get Teddy. So yeah, mate, that's my trades for the week. And vice captain will be Heinze or Pat or Turbo. I'm pretty inclined to go VC Hines and to see Turbo and just get the week sort of done as it is. But apart from that, I do have a few players, so hopefully I can minimize the damage this week of no Tedesco.
Yeah, like it, mate. Yeah, you've definitely got a fair few playing, so that's good. You should see green this week.
It would be a change from red, mate. It would be a change from red.
That's it. Speaking of red, we'll go over to my side. Might see a bit of red with this next week. You never know. So at the moment, I'll undo my trades quickly. This is me. Yeah, obviously Toya named an origin again. I was holding off on selling him. Lehigh's gone down and Burton's been named 18th man. So not ideal on those fronts. This week before trades, and as you can see, I've only got 17 left. I've got 12, which includes Sandon, Hubner, Tukey Simpkins, and Billy Smith. So basically 8. I've got 8 strong players this week in Drinkwater, Teddy, Garrick, Sharp, Lucas, Hines, Kolomatangi, Olakawatu are the strong players this week. So I think in order to keep this rank, I'm going to have to trade and just get it done. So a couple of things I've toyed with is I really like the right edge coming up against the Dragons this week. So Raymond and Nakora were big options for me. I think they're both great prices, as I spoke about. So I was looking at Toya and Royce Hunt to Raymond and Nakora. It just bolsters my depth a little bit. And it means that next week I won't have an issue really with my team. I really like that, and I save a trade. The downside with that is that I'm going into the round with no Dolphins, who I think obliterate the Cowboys, and also no Karaz. So I could easily get get done there. But it is a conservative, safe approach, which, if I get through this week holding rank and I do those trades, and that's a win. But I think I want to get aggressive and trade big. So I was having a play around. I can do Toya, Lehigh to Karaz and Herbie, and then I just downgrade Hosking to um, anyone sub 350k. So, and that can be center wing, flick Lucas up, a second row, or a front rower. Looking at those options, I hate them all. I wish I had an extra 50k or 40k to get Hiroti or Ramian, to be honest. So for me, it's just not worth doing that, doing those trades, just because I'm getting a third trade in that I don't like. And that will take me up to 15 players, 3 of which will be absolute duds in Sandon, Tukey Simpkins, and Lawson, I feel like. So where I'm leaning at the moment, as you probably saw, is Toya is definitely a good trade out option this week. I really like the trade out option of Lehigh, but it would be nice to hold him. And I also like the trade out option of Hosking. So where I am going at the moment with these is I'm between Karaz and Herbie. At the moment, I'm leaning Herbie just because I think Karaz playing center, potential Origin camp, misses next week. Herbie's got a better string of games, and I want to be strong for next week too. Karaz, though, is better long term, in my opinion. And Karaz also has the injury history stuff as well. So Herbie Isako load up on the Dolphins, so I got cover against a weak Cowboys outfit. And then I spoke about the Sharks right edge. I want a bit of it. That's where I'm at the moment with my trade. So getting 3 guys I'm quite keen to get, I think. The downside, though, to this is I burned 3 trades. And I'm down to really low trades at this point. But I do like this side. I don't think I can get hurt too much with this. I've got pretty much everyone that I need. I've got a bit of the Sharks, a bit more than Hines in the Sharks game. I've got my Dolphins cover. The only person I would be sort of watching with one eye open is Karaz, really. So that's
JC as well, I think, is the only other person that can hurt you. But apart from that, yeah,
Karaz.
you have.
Oh yeah, Karaz, JC, and Fanil Blake I'll throw in as well. Like those 3 are probably the big dogs that I don't have. But this takes me to a decent amount of players. So now I've got Sandon up here. I'll just reserve. Jeez. There we go.
Looks
So
good, mate. Looks good. The Dolphins double up, doesn't it?
yeah. So now it looks like a much stronger side, and I think I can hold on to my rank up here with that. So I'm keen on, like, I haven't really even thought about it, but VC Hines and C Teddy, but I will be tempted to throw something on either Herbie or Sarko as well, and I like Garrick too. But now I've got Teddy, Drinkwater, Lucas, Sharp, Asako, Garrick. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Billy Smith, Herbie, 7, 8, 9 and Hines, 10 and Hubner, 11 Nakora, 12 Ola, 13 Kalamatangi, 14 Simpkins, and 15 Sandon. So, like, Simpkins you can pretty much write off. Sandon maybe could pull something out of his ass. They'll probably drop out. And Hubner and Billy Smith, hopefully they can just get 40. But overall, pretty happy with that for this week. Yeah, what are your any thoughts there, mate? Do you like the trades? I've got perfect cash as well, and if I even go Karaz over Herbie, it shows I've got like $600 in the bank. So it's just pretty like I had 90. Like it seems like it's a go for me. I just think I'm more worried about Herbie this week than I am Karaz.
Yeah, look, I like the Herbie buy. I'd definitely be buying him, but the only issue I really see then is how are you going to get Karaz in? And that's probably then what are you going to be selling Sharp in round 18 sort of thing,
Yeah, correct.
which is a more than viable option. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
I'll be
if
looking
that's your
at
plan.
Yeah, I'll be looking at him and Jenkins to go. So Jenkins, obviously, he's 545k now with a negative 15 break even. We'll play next week and we'll play the week after. Obviously, he doesn't play Origin. Although he did on that, he got called up to the squad to help play do a bit of opposed sessions. Yes,
The
like I
milkman.
think Jenkins will be 600k plus. It'll be quite an easy bridge to get a Lomax or a Holmes in from there, and same with Sharp as well. So those two guys are definitely on the chopping block for me later on. Um, yeah, I guess the only thing to now I would be really trying to hold trades, but it depends on who backs up next week, especially in 5-8, because I don't know if I'll have to run without a 5-8 next week as well. I don't really want to burn a trade with these two guys there. So, but that's it with Supercoach. Like I think it's you just got to take it as roll with the punches and take it as it comes. For me, this week in this stint with Herbie and Asako and Nakora, they all play up until the next major buy, and then it would be just a reassess job from there, sort of thing. Are pretty well covered for the next major buy, anyway. Um, I th well, it depends on Koloamatangi and Olakau'atu getting named, but yeah, I've got three good fullbacks. Ali Katoa up here, these two here. Terrell May comes in, so it's not the worst. Like I think I'm leaning towards this, and just save myself the heartache of watching the Dolphins versus the Cows, and we'll just have to watch along with Fanor Blake and Karaz and Jaden Campbell would be the only three that could sort of hurt.
Yeah, like it, mate. Just before we wrap it up, then, Asako or Sharp?
I think Osaka is a better buy
Yeah.
at this point. I wouldn't. Yeah, it'd be annoying watching either because I think they're both very good chances to score this week. Um, yeah, like I think Osaka is just a better buy at the moment. With the Dolphins run of games, his negative break even, he's going to be 700k soon. And then you can reassess then. Sort of just got to, yeah, as I said, roll with the punches. I hate paying 760k for Herbie, but it is what it is. Just gotta, um, yeah, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can watch him obliterate the Cows' right edge, and it would really hurt my rank at his ownership if he went off. So I'm just gonna get it done with.
Yeah, I like the buy. I think it is the best for your team and to conserve rank. Herbie just makes sense, and you're attacking with Asako then as well because Asako's way less owned.
Yeah, and then the Cora and those are the two matchups. Like I think the Sharks versus Dragons, and like you got to remember that left edge of the Dragons is Luciano Leilua, King Tongia, Corey Allen, and Nathan Lawson or Sloan. So Hines and Nakora, I think Nakora is going to score this week. I'm going to say that now. Yeah, I just want to target the matchups. Like I think those two could be absolute demolition jobs. The Sharks beating the Dragons and the Dolphins beating the Cows.
Like it, mate. Well, you better back it in because whatever you've been doing this year, it's been working. So keep it up, mate, and hopefully this time next week we see you with more green arrows.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, so hopefully you get some green arrows too, mate, and we can yeah see you back up there. And yeah, yeah, thanks everyone for listening, I guess, and looking forward to another podcast next week. And best of luck everyone over the bye round, and better find something to do with only 5 games on the weekend.
Serious. I wouldn't hold your breath with my red arrows stopping, but you never know. So yeah, thanks guys for listening, and we'll catch you all next week.
Awesome, thank you.